Welcome to this executive briefing. Let's get right into it. Today, we're decoding the critical status of our NABRS certification for 54 Wellington Street, and we're laying out the strict roadmap to hit our October deadline. Look, as a data-driven property management team, we all know that hope is definitely not a strategy. We have to rely on the numbers. So we're going to dive straight into our latest June 2026 BMS trend analysis and the Azenviro roadmap data. We need to see exactly where we stand, unpack the risks we've literally just averted, and nail down the exact next steps.
We have to start with this razor-thin number right here, 2.4%. That is our energy buffer. And to be completely blunt with you, it nearly cost us our entire 5-star rating before we stepped in with some recent interventions. To put that into perspective, holding on to a 5.0 star rating means our energy consumption cannot rise by more than about 14,000 kilowatt hours of electricity per year. That tiny margin? That's equivalent to just about 3 weeks of running our chillers in January. Literally, a year prior, our buffer was sitting at a much safer 4.3%. This sharp, sudden drop is exactly why our future decisions have to be absolutely rooted in data.
So here's our playbook for today's explainer. 1. Current status and risk. 2. Made data and recent fixes. 3. BMS upgrades for 5.5 stars. 4. Heating, carbon, and costs. 5. Evidence collection and roles. And 6. October recertification timeline.
Moving right along to Section 1, Current Status and Risk. Let's quickly establish our baseline and look at the immediate threat the data revealed.
Okay, so notice the really stark contrast here between our current certification stack and the vulnerabilities hiding underneath. We actually have a super strong 5.0 star foundation for both energy and water. Our climate-active carbon-neutral certification is solid, and our BIC is current. All of this is valid up until October 27, 2026. And it's a big but, when you look at the year-over-year movement from our certified period, electricity grew by 6.5%, while our rated area only grew by 3.4%. That outsized fluctuation in power consumption is the exact reason our protective buffer was slashed in half.
You're probably wondering what in the world was causing that dangerous spike. Well, our BMS analysis flagged a massive threat that we're calling the March 2026 anomaly. Get this, we found out that our heating pumps were running 98% of the time during that month. That is a gigantic jump when you compare it to 43% and 8% in the surrounding months. The culprit? A hidden tenant condenser water loop fault that basically forced our boilers to run non-stop through February and March. This wasn't just a minor operational glitch. This was unmetered electricity and wasted gas actively eating right into our incredibly thin safety margin.
Which brings us to Section 2, Made data and recent fixes. Let's see how fast action saved our rating.
By catching and rectifying that condenser loop fault right on May 1st, we completely changed our trajectory. We've got fresh data from the May 2026 M-Track simulation, and the results are honestly very encouraging. Compared to our certified FY 24-25 rating of 5.0 stars, our rolling simulated energy rating has climbed back to a safer 5.046 stars. This is the proof in the pudding, right here. It shows that our recent fixes effectively stopped the bleeding and stabilized our rating just slightly above that critical threshold.
You can really see the turnaround when looking at this divergence in our rolling 12-month metrics. Because of that boiler anomaly earlier in the year, our rolling gas consumption spiked by 10%. Ouch! But our targeted fixes have already driven rolling electricity consumption down by an amazing 6.2%, bringing it to 540,000 kilowatt hours. That specific drop in electricity is what's providing the crucial breathing room we desperately need heading into our upcoming assessment.
For us as a management team, the value of this May simulation data is absolutely massive. It confirms that since we fully resolved the fault on May 1st, gas consumption is actively normalizing again. The immediate risk has been mitigated. We're expecting gas to level out back to standard levels across the June 2026 period, which, thankfully, relieves a ton of pressure for that upcoming October assessment.
All right, on to Section 3, BMS upgrades for 5.5 stars. The crisis is averted, so now we shift gears from defense to offense.
We actually have a very clear, highly technical path to lock in a resilient rating for 54 Wellington Street. We're targeting 5 specific interventions: a condenser water pump demand interlock, demand-controlled ventilation, chiller staging, economy cycle recommissioning, and pressure resets. We aren't just guessing here. These are highly specific, quantified measures pulled straight from the HVAC performance report. This is how we engineer a bulletproof pathway forward.
So why those 5 specific measures? Because when you combine them, they are projected to save anywhere from 35 to 81 megawatt hours annually. That is a massive 6 to 14% of our rated electricity. Rolling these out over the FY 26-27 period won't just patch up our fragile buffer. It actually puts a highly coveted 5.5-star energy rating, which, by the way, requires a 23.2% total energy reduction, well within our realistic grasp in the medium term. Section 4. Heating, carbon, and costs. Let's talk financials, because hitting 5.5 stars isn't just about a shiny plaque.
Right now, gas makes up a staggering 42.6% of our site energy. And since we already purchase green power for our electricity, gas is actually the dominant structural driver of our residual carbon emissions. Think about it. Every time we have a spike in gas, like that anomaly in March, it directly hits our operational costs on the back end because we have to buy mandatory carbon offsets.
This right here builds an incredibly compelling business case for leadership. By stepping through these heating optimizations right now, things like start tuning and tighter scheduling, and then planning to swap out boilers for heat pumps during plant renewal, we aren't just saving energy, we're directly slashing those mandatory carbon-neutral offset bills. It's a perfect example of how optimizing our base building efficiency is a highly profitable sustainability move.
Section 5, Evidence Collection and Roles. Accountability is everything if we're going to get this done by October.
We've drawn up a really clear division of labor here for our urgent task list. We need to know exactly what property management, JLL, our consultants like Retrogreen, and our mechanical contractors are delivering. So for instance, JLL and building management, you're on the hook for compiling that 12-month evidence pack by June 30th. Meanwhile, Retrogreen and the contractors have to verify the companion building's optimum start to recover a 2-hour rated hours penalty. We've segmented these roles tightly so that absolutely nothing falls through the cracks.
I want to pause on a crucial detail here regarding our responsibilities. We absolutely must continue our manual monthly water meter reads. Now, I know our 5-star water rating feels comfortable with a 20.4% buffer, but the utility company has been sending us multiple estimated invoices lately. The integrity of our rating completely relies on giving the assessor our actual manual site reads. If we get lazy and stop, we instantly put our water rating compliance at risk.
Section 6, October Recertification Timeline. Let's map out this sprint to the finish line, because things are going to move fast.
Here are the strict compliance milestones we need to hit. First, the rating period closes on June 30th, and yes, that is literally just weeks away. In July, the owner has to commission the ratings via the Ausenweier agreement. Then, between July and September, we are sprinting to implement those quick-win BMS upgrades. September through October is all about our climate-active renewal, rounding up green power evidence and getting those offsets procured. And finally, October 27th is our hard expiration date. Flawless coordination across all departments is absolutely critical to hit these deadlines.
So, as we wrap up this briefing, the data is presenting us with a very clear choice for this asset's future. We've proven over the last few months that data-driven maintenance can catch scary anomalies and protect our baseline. But as we look beyond October 2026, the question is, are we going to just settle for managing a super fragile 5-star year after year, or are we going to execute these structural upgrades and engineer a robust, highly competitive 5.5-star asset? The roadmap is built, the data is clear. Now, it's just about execution. Let's get it done.